Thanks for joining us. We're out here today in the city of St. Clair Shores. Of course, we have a very large pump station in St. Clair Shores called the Chapaton, which is located at 9 Mile and Jefferson. And what we are trying to do is to understand exactly how much flow we have, sewage, that's going into our pump station, particularly during wet weather events, whether that's a heavy rain, a lot of snow, accumulation of both, any kind of precipitation that causes the levels to rise. And what happens, of course, in some of the older cities in Macomb County, we have combined sewers. So you have some of the sanitary sewers combined with storm sewers. And of course, again, in a wet weather event, the sewers are just not designed to accommodate that much water, that much liquid, if you will. And unfortunately, during the wet weather events, for decades, not only us, but places all over the country, and unfortunately in the Great Lakes Basin, we have to discharge out into the lake. Of course, what we do at Chapaton, we have a very good disinfection center. So we do, for lack of a better term, really chlorinate or bleach the liquid before we discharge. And we think that the percentage of sewage that's mixed in even before we treat it is about 2%. But still, it's not good. And at some point, we want to eliminate, certainly reduce, and at some point eliminate our combined sewer overflows. So we are doing a number of different kinds of things with that goal in mind. And the first thing we have to do, I believe, is that we have to understand actually how much flow do we really have. So what we've decided to do is to actually install meters. We're installing meters at about 20 different sites that will now, when we have a wet weather event, a heavy rain event, we will be able to understand exactly how much flow we have. You need to know what you're dealing with, obviously, so that you can make a plan for the future. And so this is going to be a critical element of a master plan that we are doing for the entire county of Macomb. And we're working with all the different municipalities. Of course, I'm sure many of you followed what happened with the interceptor collapse on 15 Mile. That's in a particular drainage district called the Macomb Interceptor Drainage District. It's comprised of 11 different communities. Today we're in a different district. This is what we call the 8.5 Mile Drainage District, and it's St. Clair Shores and Roseville and East Point. There's a couple of different discharge areas that we have for these three communities. And so again, what we're trying to do is master plan for all of Macomb County, understanding what we need to do and how we can best accommodate underground needs for our county going forward. And as well as that, again, we want to make sure that we're doing everything that we can to reduce and eliminate combined sewer overflows, which is a bad thing that happens. No way to sugarcoat it, but it's been going on for decades. But we have a goal in mind of working to, again, reduce and eliminate those. And so what we're doing here today, we're in St. Clair Shores. I'm standing with Kip Walby, who is the mayor of St. Clair Shores and has been a great partner with us for a number of different things that we've been doing in St. Clair Shores. We've been looking and inspecting at a number of different storm drains, not sanitary sewers, but storm drains that eventually go out into and discharge into Lake St. Clair. Of course, just your normal storm drainage after a rain. It goes down the catch basins that are in the neighborhoods and eventually all runs out into Lake St. Clair. And we've been trying to make sure that the pipes are not degraded, and if they are, do we have to do some different kinds of improvements to them? We've been trying to figure out if we have found any illicit connections. We did find one in East Point last year, which has been corrected. But we've been looking at all those kinds of things. But we've been working with the city of St. Clair Shores and Roseville and East Point.
Yeah, SCMSD.
Yeah, I think with all the different mayors and their engineers and their attorneys. And so what we're going to do now is show you what a meter looks like. Because once this is installed, you're never going to see it again, and we probably won't either. One of you might see it when you go down to look at it. But this is one of our new meters. Vince, he's in charge of all of our, he runs Chapaton, Martin Retention. He does all of our wastewater throughout the county here, and so that's his job. And he's been very visionary, I think, and proactive on helping us with a number of these different kinds of things. And this particular project, as I say, about 20 different sites with the meters, we costed out at about $150,000, which is a lot of money, but still you need to know what you're really dealing with. We think we are going to save about $70,000 because we are having our crews actually do the installation. So we're trying to be conservative cost-wise, but we need to get this job done. So Vince, if you could tell us what you're holding there and what it's going to do.
So this is the flow meter. This unit right here is essentially the brains of the operation. This blue piece will hang at the top of the manhole, and it's battery powered. There's two 6-volt lantern batteries in there that will keep this thing running for about 6 months at a time. Down in the hole itself, we actually go down and we install this sensor at the bottom of the pipe. And what this sensor will do is water will come at it and go over top of it, and what it can do, it can measure level on top of it, and it can measure the velocity that's going over top of it. And with those two factors, you can actually tell what the flows are, and you can quantify what's coming through the system at the different points throughout. So this is a very important piece of equipment to this whole operation. Like Candace said, there's 20 of them going in all over at strategic points throughout the system, and we're hoping for some very good rain data to get from that. So,
and then at the end you will find out how much water and how they're using the pipes, right?
Yep.
Capacity.
So, yeah. We're looking at a lot of different things: how we can better operate the system, how we can better use the storage within our pipes rather than just going out to the lake, so reducing that. So there's a lot of key components that we're going to be looking at with the master plan with these flow meters, and this is the first step to the whole process.
So again, thanks for joining us. We thought we'd film this video just as a part of our educational outreach process. I think there's a lot of interest in what's going on in our underground, and that was brought home in a very vivid demonstration when we had the 15-mile sewer collapse. That was a very unfortunate event, but the mayor and I were just talking, if there is a silver lining to something like that, I think it's because people now are much more aware that just because it's out of sight, it can't be out of mind. And when we have a conversation about infrastructure and investing in our infrastructure, which we need to, obviously, of course you have to talk about the roads. Of course we have to talk about bridges. But it seems like for decades we haven't talked much about the underground. And I think it's very important as well that we add that into the mix of our infrastructure investment conversation, not just here in St. Clair Shores or Macomb County or the state of Michigan, but nationally as well. It's a lot of this underground was put in decades ago, and it's just outlived its useful life expectancy. And so we need to know what we have, what kind of assets we have. We're doing a big asset management program right now, which is going to help us, again, going forward for Macomb County. We think we're very much on the leading edge of doing some of these things and using technology, but technology can be our friend. Sometimes we don't think so, but it can be our friend. And so I think by using this type of technology that Vince just explained to you with these meters that are going in, that will give us an excellent idea of what we're dealing with, and then what do we need to do. So thanks again for joining us.